More on how social media is evolving and transforming in a volatile time. This is MacVoices. This edition of MacVoices is brought to you by the MacVoices Slack, available to all patrons of MacVoices. Sign up today at patreon.com/MacVoices. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. The MacVoices Live panel continues our deep dive into the state of social media and all the disruptions caused by Elon Musk and Twitter, or X if you prefer, and also Mark Zuckerberg and Threads. Let's go back and let the panel do the talking. Okay, so Jeff, your point is well taken. And there was, I guess the one thing about it is, though, that if you were on Instagram, they made it super easy for you to end up and sort of auto-populate your, I guess, your followers or your people you were following.
Yeah.
Now, that can be a double-edged sword. I did not automatically. I went through and curated and said, okay, I haven't seen this person on for a while. I haven't seen that, so I'm not going to follow them because I just didn't want to do a wholesale pull in. But a lot of people did. And and I will give, first of all, let's give credit where credit's due. They were very upfront about that they are scraping your information. It's probably the biggest declaration of, yeah, we're going to collect your information that we've seen pretty much anywhere. And so, I give them credit for that. But I
like the transparency with that. As far as what they're collecting, this is no different than what they're doing with the Facebook app or the Instagram app.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that, so it felt like you maybe weren't giving away much, since if you had a Facebook account or an Instagram account, you're already giving it away. But I just thought that was a really interesting move. But all of a sudden, Zuck is not the devil anymore.
Yes, he is.
But it feels like he's turned into some kind of internet hero here, at least for this week, by introducing something that is not Twitter.
That shows you how volatile this whole space is right now. When someone that is so much of a bad guy, he probably has a secret lair underneath a volcano, and he's being praised as the good guy right now. That's kind of crazy. I'm not seeing him as the good guy. I'm seeing him as the guy that has a lot of really smart people working for him, because they did Threads, and look at what's happening already.
Yeah.
I have a very big concern that we are seeing a major consolidation of social media platforms under the control of one person. And this is one person that does not have the life experience or the maturity and the wisdom that goes along with both of those to know how to do this in a way that's not going to be a big problem for people.
I completely agree with the sentiment about, it being under one person. Ben?
I would say there is one difference between the owner of Meta, or should I say the CEO of Meta, and the owner of Twitter. Zuck has business sense. He knows enough how to placate the corporate users, which is why we had the adoption so fast. He has had his ups and downs for sure, but he knows how to make money on his platforms.
Yeah. Yes. I think his business sense is that he does not have the hubris to think that he knows everything, but he does know how to find the people that do know things, and then puts those people in the positions where they can do their things. And it's interesting to watch.
Yeah, you can tell which one has been running a social media network for 20 years and which one has been doing it for 8 months.
To be fair, he showed up with the sink.
Yeah.
So, Webb, I kind of vacillate between Zuck being a good businessman and being borderline ruthless, and and hiding out in the lair Jeff mentioned under the volcano. Which is it, or do you think it's a combination of the two?
They don't have to be mutually exclusive. I'm sorry, I jumped in. I'll be quiet.
No, you're fine. You're fine. First of all, he's a businessman. He's not in this to make the world a better place. He's in it for a buck. Okay, and he does it through advertising. It's an advertising platform, and I don't know. Contrary to a lot of the people that have been on these panels before, I do not put the devil's X on Elon Musk either. I think he's done some really silly things, but I don't want to chastise him. Same thing with Zuckerberg. They've done some silly things, but I think they're in it for a reason. Yeah, and like I said, it's a business decision. So,
first of all, I share your feelings about Musk, and I think that's probably evident from past discussions we've had along these lines. David, though, the thing that bothers me about Zuckerberg is that, to Jeff's point, the maturity doesn't seem to be there, but this wide-eyed innocence of, we made a mistake and we won't do it again. And then they just keep doing it again and again and again. And it was either last week or 2 weeks ago. Now with the week off, I'm really confused. But, we talked about Facebook getting a serious fine from the EU about moving data back to the United States. And yet it seemed like they had plenty of notice that they shouldn't be doing it. They just did it anyway because they could.
It was the cost of business. They knew they'd get a fine, and they could afford it.
Yeah,
David.
Yeah, no, they don't care. I mean, it's something that they just we'll just pay it. I mean, most of these big companies these days are just paying these fines. They have to hit them harder than just a fine. And the fine does nothing for them. Blocking, access to anything in the EU, that could be another thing. I think I seem to remember, I don't know if it was Australia or Canada, they started pulling ads off of in those countries because or news. It was news. Excuse me. The news sources wanted Meta to pay for that, and they said, "Hell, the heck with it! We're pulling it off there, and we're not going to have any news on the platform because they want to charge for it."
Yep.
There's some painful irony for you right there.
Yeah, that's a government decision, not the companies themselves.
Yeah, well, I mean, Meta didn't want to pay for something that costs money,
right?
Yeah,
but that's always been something that has been a bit of I've been really confused on that, because one minute people are paying to put things on Facebook, next minute they're refusing to pay, or Facebook's refusing to pay them to put information on Facebook. It's like, wait a minute, isn't this in reverse?
That's where that irony comes in.
Yeah, so I end up being very confused by all that.
Yeah.
And there's still nothing to prevent me from saying, hey, look at this story in CNN and posting a link, and therefore it appears on Facebook.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So what's the reaction been to Threads? I know one thing we were talking about pre-show is, in fact, that's kind of where things started. And I said, hold it. Because Threads did not launch. It only launched on smartphones. It did not launch with any kind of web presence,
right,
which just seems unbelievable to me. And Ben, you had brought up, you or Jeff, I'm not sure which one had brought up the corporate aspect of that.
Yeah. It's not ready, but Meta saw an opening and they took it.
Ben, I think you're absolutely right.
Right on.
I don't think they had originally planned on launching Threads when they did, but it was worth it to them to launch a minimum viable product where they decided to lower the bar for what minimum would be.
Yeah.
To take advantage of the timing.
Mm-hmm.
But still, I mean, you'd think that as they're developing a physical app for something that's a web-based service, they would have been working on a web interface for this.
Oh, they're working on it.
They're working
just
on it.
Not ready.
Yeah, you'd think that would have been ready, but here we are.
I think people were taking. They like the fact that all of their Instagram followers came right over to Threads, and I start looking through my list of all the followers I have on there. There's still a crap load of people who haven't even bothered to do it yet.
Yeah,
I even mentioned it to some of my family members, like, I don't want to do that. That people are kind of having that another social media. Oh my god, but it's something that really is giving people interest. Especially it's being a more text only type of social media versus Instagram. And I like Instagram. It's fun. You get all the pictures, but I think Instagram has also become a big shopping club too. There's so much shopping links on there.
It's becoming like a TikTok.
Yeah, and that reminds me, the other thing that isn't ready, ads. Don't think it's going to be ad free for much longer.
No, I can't imagine it would be.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest surprise, though, I guess I had was that there's no way for me to just see a feed, I guess that's the phrase for it, a feed of my followers, or the people I'm following. Pardon me, the people I'm following. We're back to the big debate over: do you have a curated, suggested timeline, or do you have just a chronological timeline? And the fact that they launched with the curated timeline, telling me Threads is telling me what it thinks I'm interested in or what I should be interested in. And that smacks so much of Facebook thinking. And I wonder how long it'll be before, or if we ever get a chronological timeline.
They've said they're working on it.
Yeah. Well, they've said they're working on a lot of things, Ben, but
Yeah.
Yeah, my guess is that it's coming, and they're working on a way to present it to us so it's functional, but a total pain in the ass. Like if you want to see, yes, yep. If you want to see a chronological timeline of the people you're following on Facebook, and I just use the web app or web interface for Facebook. It's now a separate thing in feeds, as opposed to just being able to toggle between your feed just with a single click, and so it's multiple clicks to get to it, and it isn't exactly what you want, but it's kind of close enough that you tolerate it. I mean, Facebook does not want us doing chronological; they want us doing the curated thing where they're just feeding us stuff, and so of course that's taking priority in Threads, and I expect I will be disappointed with the people I'm following chronological timeline feature when it finally launches.
Okay, so this may appear to it may be a naive question. Why won't Facebook or Threads or Instagram or whatever, why won't they give me what I want? If they want me to use their platform, why won't they give me what I want, or at least give me an easy option for what I want?
Quite frankly, they're giving it to you at no cost to the user, so they have to make money elsewhere, other ways. And the curated is all about getting stuff that maximizes advertising revenue.
Yeah, curated is much more profitable for them, and I'm sure they have just amazing amounts of data showing how much more money they make by creating a curated feed that gives us that endorphin hit and just keeps you scrolling. And it's probably, even though we don't like it, it's probably much more effective at keeping people on the platform than letting us see what we actually want.
Yeah. The thing to realize here, we're not the customers, we're the product.
Yeah, we say that so often, Ben, and
Yeah.
I agree with you. Webb, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, please. I was just agreeing with Ben. So.
Well, I'm always surprised that if I'm talking to a friend or someone, hey, did you see this on Facebook? You see that on Facebook? No. Well, aren't you friends with so and so? Well, yeah. And no, I have no idea. I mean, I've missed weddings, I've missed funerals, I've missed a lot of things because for whatever reason, Facebook was not punching it up into my feed. And I am not one that sits there and scrolls and scrolls and scrolls and scrolls. I might go 2, maybe 3 screens down, and that's usually pretty much it. But so I feel like there's a lot missed, and for the way I would like to use Facebook, I'm not getting the experience I want. And I feel like in Threads, will I be repeating that, again?
To be honest, I think they will give it to you, but it's something that you'll have to buy, like a Meta subscription. Essentially, I think their end goal is the same as what Elon has for Twitter. I think Meta's just going to be more successful at it.
Okay, Ben, why? Why if Twitter already has? I mean, look, absent some of the questionable decisions and absent the issue that about support and all that, why when Twitter already has it, and again we've covered this before, but I keep asking the question: what is so wrong with asking me to pay for a subscription if you will give me what I want?
Absolutely nothing. And what's the difference? One word: stability.
At this point, that's a fair concern. So before we leave Threads, there's one other thing that I think is really interesting, and that is the threat by Elon and Twitter to sue Meta over Threads.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, Webb, why do you, from the standpoint of recovering anything, or
it's you're saying, like, is he going to prove damages? There are other people that have tried to do a Twitter alternative before Elon Musk bought them. There's what's the equivalent of clickbait? This is just they're just slinging mud back and forth. He can, doesn't cost much to file a lawsuit. It costs a lot to defend one or to litigate one. So it's a nothing burger in my mind. So
I mean, this tactic would work with a smaller company, but he's going up against a peer when it comes to resources, if not Meta having more resources.
Oh, Meta has way more resources.
Yeah.
So I mean, you don't scare the alpha off with a little bit of
Elon has rockets.
Can't argue with that logic.
Yeah.
And robot cars.
Right.
Yeah, until Zuck opens up his pocketbook.
Oh, I don't. Zuck is a long way from having rockets or robotic cars, So
no, true, but all he has to do is buy a bunch of fog machines, and those robot cars are just going to stop.
Bunch of traffic cones, right?
Right. He could just. They're probably on sale on Amazon Prime right now.
Yeah.
He could have them between 5 and 8 a.m. tomorrow morning.
Yes. Yes. The Zuck Bezos tag team.
All right. So let me ask you guys directly. Webb, I'll start with you, because you said that people have done this before, and I admit, I'm on T2, and T2 looks very similar to Twitter, and Threads, and so, and I have not, I've only seen pictures of Blue Sky. I don't know what it's like. So Ben, I mean, how much of it is is a ripoff, not a ripoff, but a copy or a clone or, a reimagining of Twitter. I mean, is it stolen or is it just,
there's only so much you can do within that same space. I would argue that a lot of it is basically generic at this point. But I think if there's going to be any legal action here, there would have to be an undeniable proof of theft of IP.
Theft as in?
I think at that point you'd have to start analyzing code line by line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, ChatGPT can do that for them.
Right? Just craft your request. Hey, ChatGPT, do a line by line comparison of Threads code to Twitter's code and show that Threads is not infringing on Twitter's IP, and you'll have it'll be perfect.
Yeah,
yeah, because right now, the chatbot people would be absolutely willing to work with the guy who has accused them of theft.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know. I look at it and I think, okay, depending on what extra features they include or when they bring them out or how they bring them out, I hear what you're saying, Ben, and I think that I agree with it to some degree. But on the other hand, it just seems like, somebody like this taking something like that, taking Twitter and cloning it. And Blue Sky did it to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
What did I just say? T2 did it to some degree.
Mastodon.
So Mastodon has done it to some degree. So, is this the case? We often talk about how Apple defends or has to go after infringement of certain things aggressively, even though it seems ridiculous. So has Twitter lost the opportunity to do that because they didn't come down on Mastodon, T2, Blue Sky, and all the others?
They weren't going to come down on Blue Sky because that's a Jack Dorsey thing. And then, Chuck, you keep talking about the Twitter clones, and I'm going to put on my Brian Chaffin hat for a second and be mostly pedantic and say I don't think clone is the right word to use. Twitter was its own thing. Threaded text microblogging, that's not something that Twitter invented. Yeah. And it's going to continue after Twitter ends or becomes something else. And instead, I think we're looking at different permutations or variations on the threaded microblog concept when we're looking at Mastodon and Blue Sky and Threads and whatever else has come along and is still here or has faded away. And what Twitter gave us when it was in its prime was a totally unique thing that I think if anyone expects that they're going to be able to go find a platform that gives them exactly what Twitter was or what they perceive Twitter to be, they will be very disappointed. What Twitter created, that can't be replicated. It's come and gone. And what we have moving forward are other permutations on the whole threaded microblog platform.
Jeff, I don't want to beat this into the ground, but you said something there that I can't let go, and that is that it can't be recreated. And yet, so many things about what we're seeing on Threads feel like the early days of Twitter,
sure.
Which means it is being recreated.
Well, the threaded microblogging platform is being recreated, which is what Twitter was when it started. What it became, that's a thing that I don't think any social media platform in that's going for this space is going to be able to do. The things that came together to make Twitter what it was, just from a social standpoint, and I mean social like in people, and then from a business standpoint, those days are gone because all these companies have learned a lot about manipulating and monetizing social media platforms over the years. And because of the way that they will pursue these now, it will not allow us to have something that truly replicates what Twitter was in its prime. And I know a lot of people are saying, oh, the Fediverse and Mastodon, that's where it's going to be. No. There's nothing out there that's going to truly give us a Twitter clone. And what people have to decide is whatever microblogging platform they're going to use, does it give them the kind of features they want? And we all just need to give up on the idea of someone is just going to replicate Twitter.
Yeah.
Okay, so all three of you, this is really interesting when Jeff said Fediverse, and you all three of you kind of laughed and said, no. And yet, until Threads came along, Mastodon was the place where everybody was migrating to.
Was it?
I wouldn't agree with that.
I don't think so.
I'm with you, Webb. There was a lot of growth on Mastodon, and it was becoming more recognized, but it's not where everyone was going.
Yeah, Mastodon was very, very niche to tech, or is very, very niche to tech.
Okay.
I was trying to figure out a way to put that. You put it very well, Ben. It was very tech oriented. People that are in mass media, your news networks, things like that, they haven't left Twitter. It's very, Twitter has stayed very media focused. Not by Twitter's design, but by the media's design. That's where they're staying. It's
which is why Threads has the most has the best adoption of all of them. They have that local media. They have the corporate user that Blue Sky, T2, and Mastodon just did not get on Moss.
Do you think, getting back to Threads for a second, I think that there's a really interesting marketing play that they've done here. First of all, you had to have an Instagram account. Either you did or you signed up for it if you wanted to get on the Threads. So you had to have one to get to the other. I thought that was kind of interesting. I personally already had an Instagram account. Don't use it much, but kind of like Jeff, I kind of do it to secure the name more than anything else. But it's, and I also agree that it was rushed. They tried to get it out there pretty quickly. They had an opportunity, and 100 million people signed up. How many of those are going to sustain? Who knows? But they got the headline. They got the attention, and it got to be kind of self-fulfilling. It's people signed up, so people wanted to sign up because other people signed up, and it just got to be a real snowball. So I think it's an interesting marketing play that they did. They're scraping data and doing all the things that Meta does. But I commend them for how they went about doing it.
Yeah, and I have to say, it also, I think it helps that the ego of their competition is helping them with advertising.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, you can't buy that advertising.
And this is where, to circle way back to Zuck being a decent businessman, now he's leveraged the one social network to create a second one. Now he's got two places to show you ads. And he's gathering up probably more information.
Yes, 3 places.
Well, 3. Yeah, 3. And so,
well, actually 4, because you can inject ads into WhatsApp.
Oh, I forgot about WhatsApp. So he's And all the while, somewhere, I firmly believe, I have no evidence, but I firmly believe somewhere deep underground at Facebook or at Meta, excuse me, that all four of those sources are going to come together and build an even better profile of you and what you're interested in and what they can probably throw your way as far as advertising.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming they've already done that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I bet it's better as they because now they have a whole nother channel of information that you know who you follow, what you comment on, what you like, what you post. Because posting to threads is a lot different. Just like posting to Twitter is a lot different than what you would normally post to Facebook.
Yeah.
Yep. They have the data set now that they were missing.
That's an interesting way to look at it. All right. So just for fun, knowing what you know now, you're now on the jury. Twitter is Threads guilty of ripping off Twitter? David?
Oh, I don't think so.
No. Interesting. Ben?
Absolutely not.
Wow. Jeff?
They took.
Oh, Ben, finish your statement, and then I'll go.
I was going to say, microblogging is too generic. Plus, they're not taking Twitter's users; they're taking their own.
Not sure that's relevant to the question, but I see your point. So, Jeff?
I'm with Dave and Ben. I give it a big nope.
Webb?
I would wait till I read the jury instructions before I'd comment on that because there's so many different ways that could go. On the surface, I agree. No, I don't think that they have anything, but I'm not sure what the litigation would be all about, quite honestly. Just what I hear, I don't think there's anything there. But
okay. Interesting.
Think I've been to court before?
Yeah, well,
yes, it's like your business has dealt with business law before.
Yeah.
Webb, since we're talking about court and we're going to play legal for a second, part of Twitter or X's legal argument is, or at least initially, was related to poaching employees. Yeah. Which is not going to hold up because you can't poach an employee that's been fired from the company.
Which they didn't anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. So they didn't poach anyone. So that part of the case is going to fall apart. And at this point, if X wants to show that that Threads or Meta has really taken proprietary information, they're going to have to start going line by line through code, and that is not going to be a cheap process.
Jeff, since you're the first one to say it properly, explain what X is for the folks who don't know.
X is the parent company that Twitter falls under now, and because of the way they did this whole musical chairs with swapping company names and elements around, Twitter technically does not exist and has not existed for at least a couple months.
Yep.
It is just now a common term that we use to refer to the social media platform that belongs to X.
Yes, it is a product of X Corp.
It's like Mr. Robot.
Darn. Yeah, really. I think I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Thinking the same thing. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I would add to Webb's jury instructions, though, the question over the poaching. I want to know what NDAs were in place or not in place, because just because you fire somebody doesn't mean that they're relieved from an NDA.
Mm-hmm.
So how much did they contribute to Threads based on knowledge gained at Twitter, Twitter, owned by X. So,
but I would also say on that, when it comes to California law, there may be some protections in there. for the
For the
worker.
employees.
Yeah.
For the employees.
For the
As far as-
employees
as
that
pa-
came from the company formerly known as Twitter and now work
Yeah.
for Meta.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
protections from maybe from them being prosecuted, but protections from them. I mean, they'd have to be penalized in some fashion, or
Well, proving
X
NDAs in
/Twitter.
court is almost a fool's errand.
It's very state dependent. So there are some employees who are in New York State, right? Because they shut down that big operation in New York. New York State laws are going to be different than California laws on employees.
Which is going to be way different than Texas business law.
Yep.
So, in other words, the cost of the litigation just went up exponentially.
Oh, yeah.
Just
Oh,
on that
yeah.
basis. Oh, God.
On a side note, isn't X Corp the name of the company that the Joker used to produce his poisonous laughing gas in the first Batman movie with Michael Keaton? Or am I misremembering?
Way too deep.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody punch it up.
Yeah, I'm checking the live chat while you do that. Don't see it.
I was going to say I can guarantee.
Yeah, Cletus, we're counting on you.
Yeah.
I can almost guarantee it's been used in fiction.
Yep, it was X Corporation.
Okay.
Marvel Comics.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, there's some more litigation.
Next time on Mac Voices, this Mac Voices Live panel concludes by examining the situation between Apple and Goldman Sachs, the disagreements, the behind-the-scenes stories, and what it all might mean for you. That's next time on Mac Voices. We'll see you then. As always, I'm Chuck Joyner. Thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with Mac Voices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.